Quarter 4, Module 17, entitled Describing the Shape or the Form, Trend or the Direction, and Variation or the Strength based on a scatter plot. The correlation of the variables can be described in terms of form or the shape, trend or the direction, and variation or the strength of a scatter plot. The form of correlation can be determined by the shape of points in the scatter plot categorized as linear or curvilinear. So duha ang possible. It's when you say form, duha ang possibilities. It can be linear or curvilinear. The form of correlation is linear if the points on the scatter plot follows a trend of a straight line. Kumbaga, kung ang imuhang pag-plot nimo sa points, ni-follow siya, mura siya ni-follow og a straight line iyang trend, kumbaga, then it is a correlation nga linear ang iyang form. Otherwise, if the form of the scatter plot is non-linear, matawag siya non-linear if the points follows a trend of a curved line. Meaning, pa-curve po diyang form. So, sample scatter plots showing curvilinear form of correlations are given below. So, sample sa curvilinear kani. So, let's say, pag-plot ni mo points, ingani ang itsura. So, ang form niya, pa-curve man, so this can be considered as a curvilinear nga correlation. Ang form sa ani nga correlation is curvilinear. Pa-curve man niyang line. Next, another example is kani. So, pa-curve man niyang line, kag gina-follow sa points, then curvilinear po siya nga form of correlation. So, the correlation of variables can also be described in terms of its trend. So, balik ta gamay. So, again, kung curvilinear siya, curvilinear siya kung pa-curve. Pero pag if mo follow siya straight line, then linear siya. Actually, ang focus sa ato ang lesson yun is on linear siya nga form of correlation. So, ipakita lang ang curvilinear. So, let's proceed sa trend. The correlation of variables can also be described in terms of its trend or direction. The trend of correlation can either be positive, negative, or zero. Zero meaning negligible. Depending on the direction of the points, the trend of correlation is summarized in the table that follows. So, kani, pagigani ang itsura, ni-follow siya, mura siya ni-follow straight line, pataas. The points follows trend rising from left to right. So, from left to right, rising siya from left to right, then it is a positive correlation. A positive correlation exists when the high values of one variable correspond to the high values of another variable, or low values of one variable corresponds to the low values of another variable. So, ang trend niya will be positive kung the more mas high ang isa ka value, mas high po ang another value. So, ang point is, kung tanaw na to ang graph, ang atong bantayan lang is kung ang iyang trend is rising siya from left to right, then it is a positive correlation. Pero kung magtanaw ta sa table of values, kani po di mo bantayan. Dapat ang high values of one variable correspond to the high values of another variable. Or ang low values sa one variable corresponds to the low values of another variable. Kung high ang first variable, possible high po ang second variable. Kung low siya, ang first variable, dapat low po ang second variable for it to become a positive correlation. So that's one trend. Another one is negative correlation. So opposite siya sa positive correlation because the points follows a trend rising from right to left. So ganina, Ang rise niya is from left to right. Pasaka siya from left to right. Kani, pasaka siya pero from right to left. Or ako ang ginabuhatan niya, kung ginagamit siya, ang positive is rising from left to right. Kani, falling po ni from left to right. So isa na, pwede po siya niya na to, para di sa kuang personal nga kuan, it is falling ni from left to right. While ang kani, rising siya from left to right. So, ingana ang ako ang ginakuan. Kaya sa libro is, ang iyahapod is lahi pod. So, anyway, description raman na. So, basta, ingani gitsura, pababa siya from left to right, then it is a negative correlation. Then, when that is kung given ang table. What about kung given ka og table of values? A negative correlation exists when high values of one variable corresponds to the low values of another variable, or ang low values of one variable corresponds to the high values of another variable. Meaning, ang parehaan ni 5 is low, pero ang corresponding niyang kuan 39, which is high. Sa PICAS, diri na pod 25 is high man ang iyang first variable, pero sa second variable niya is low. So baliktad siya. Ang positive manggod, high ang isa, high pod ang isa, low ang isa, low pod ang isa. So sa negative, baliktad. Kung high ang isa, low ang isa. While kung low ning first variable, high ang second variable. So, tingana ang difference sa negative o positive correlation. So, the third one is no correlation or negligible correlation. Tingani po dagitsura. Kung tanaw nimo, wala kay makita ang trend. Dili ka kaingon nga pasaka siya, di po ka kaingon nga pababa siya. So, the points are neither rising from left to right nor right to left. So, muna yung pasabot niya. Then, a negligible correlation exists when high values of one variable corresponds to either high or low values of another variable. Meaning, dili ka kakuan og trend nga kung high po siya, kung low po siya, di po siya. High, di siya consistent ang iyahang trend kumbaga ba. So, ang high values pwede mo correspond to high or low. Or low values po pwede po mo correspond to high to og low po nga another variable. So, that is no correlation or negligible correlation. So, that's about trend. Let's proceed sa strength na po siya. The closeness of the points around the trend line determines the variation or strength of the correlation between the variables involved. The closer the points to the trend line, the stronger the correlation of the variable is. The strength of the correlation between two variables can be perfect, strong, weak, or no, or other, pwede po kamusulting negligible correlation. To summarize the strength of correlation, let us refer to the table below. So, pag strong correlation, ingani ang itsura. Kung tanaw ni mong itsura niya, dikit, let's assume naadari ang trend line. Ang trend line niya, masunod ka na. Kung tanaw ni mo, ang mga points, duol sa imong trend line. So, the correlation, so ang description na the correlation exists. A strong discorrelation exists. Strong positive correlation ang tawag nimo na when almost all of the points are on the line or the points are closely scattered on the trend line that rises from left to right. So ang trend line na to is from left to right man. rising from left to right. Tapos kung tanaw na to ang mga points, duol siya sa imong trend line, dikit-dikit siya sa imong trend line, then it can be said that the correlation, the relationship is a strong positive correlation. So that's the first strong na correlation. What about weak? Ingani po nagitsura sa weak. This is weak positive because we observe, kung tanaw na to, possible nga trend line niya, ang trend niya is paana. Ang dagan sa iyahang points. So meaning, positive siya because rising from left to right. But, ang imong points, scattered, lagyo siya. So, positive siya pero weak lang. So, compared to strong positive correlation, the points in this correlation are scattered a bit far from the trend line. From left to right. So, katag siya gamay. Unlike sa strong ganina, dikit-dikit. So, this is the weak positive correlation. Next is the no correlation or negligible correlation. Kung tanaw ni mo dire, wala kay makita ang trend line. Dili ka kaingon nga pasaka, di po ka kaingon nga pababa. Unlike animal god, klaro siya na pasaka gyud imong points. Pero kani, medyo klaro, under klaro kaayo. Kani, dili kay nimo maklaro. Pero maklaro siya nga pasaka gihapon. Pero kani, wala gyud. Di ka kaingon nga pasaka, di ka kaingon nga pababa. So, no correlation or negligible correlation. The points in this correlation do not follow any trend. The points are just scattered around the Cartesian plane. So, kalat ra kay siya. So, no correlation or negligible ang correlation. Next, we also have weak negative. Kung natay weak positive, napo tay weak negative. Weak siya again because kalat. Kung tanaw na to pod, ang trend niya is pababa. So, ang iyang trend is paana. So, mo niya tong trend line, weak siya because kalat. But, pababa man siya from left to right, then, it is considered as weak negative correlation because the points in this correlation are scattered a bit far from the trend line, pero, pababa siya. That's weak correlation. Next, we also have moderate negative correlation. Ang moderate negative correlation, ingani po gitsura. Kalat siya, pero mura siya in between sa kalat og, let's say, mao ni atong trend. So, mao nang weak siya. Pero, dili kayo siya kalat. Dili po siya kayo kanang dikit. So, mo nang moderate siya. So, pag in between sa kalat o dikit, that's moderate correlation. Na negative siya because pababa. So, this correlation exists when the points are moderately scattered tapos pababa ang atuhang pan. So, dili man nimo makita nga strong kay dili man kaayo dikit. Di po kayo siya kalat. So, therefore, moderate negative. Same with kung positive po ni. Napo tayo ginatawag na moderate positive correlation. So, next is a strong negative correlation. Kani, kung tanaw na to, kung magbuhat tag trend line, kani atong trend line, dikit kaayo ang imuhang mga points sa trend line. Let's say straight line na siya. So that's a negative, strong negative because dikit kaayo tapos falling man siya from left to right. So therefore, negative siya. So in this correlation, this exists when almost all of the points are on the line or the points are closely scattered on the trend line. Pero falling man siya from left to right, then negative correlation. Pero strong kay dikit. So, na lang kasimple. So, two variables can also have perfect positive or perfect negative correlation. When can you say that perfect positive or perfect negative correlation? Perfect siya pag straight line yun kaayo. Kani dili man gud kung i-connect nimo ang mga points, dili siya mo connect a straight line. Pero pag ang points gani ni fall into straight line, then that is a perfect correlation. Depende na siya kung rising siya from left to right or falling siya from left to right. Okay, kung rising siya, then that is perfect positive correlation. Pero kung falling siya, it can be perfect negative correlation. So that's for correlation na strength of correlation. That's all for quarter 4, module 17, entitled Describing the Shape or Form, Trend or Direction, and Variation or Strength based on a scatter plot. Thank you and see you next session.